What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Today I am sitting down with Tyler Harden of TTJH Sports, and we are coming to you with a brand new series for our pages. Tyler and I will be creating a team for every week and drafting a quarterback, running back, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, edge rusher or defensive lineman, linebacker, cornerback, and safety. And after the games that week, we will compare teams to see who did better. We will be comparing each position, and if his quarterback does better than my quarterback, he gets a point. 9 total positions means 9 total points, which means no ties. Tyler, I am stoked we got to do this series. Let's go on and dive in and draft your quarterback for week 1.
Yeah, so with the first pick of this series, I'm going to be going with an uncommon first pick. I mean, I feel like a lot of people would know who I'm going to go with first, and it was definitely a thought in my mind. But I mean, this player played last week too, and he balled out. He balled out. He was part of the first game of the college football season. I'm going with Sam Hartman out of Notre Dame. He's got Tennessee State this coming weekend, and I feel like he's just going to keep that momentum going, and he's just going to have another great performance. So I'm going with Sam Hartman, and I'm putting all my faith in him.
And faith is definitely what Notre Dame fans are going to have in Hartman this year. They got their quarterback, dude. My quarterback, I'm going out to the West Coast. I'm taking Oregon quarterback Bo Nix, who faces off against Portland State this week. First game of the season last year was against Georgia. And compare that to Portland State. I think Bo Nix will get big numbers this week, try to get ahead in the Heisman race. He finished with like 3,500 yards last year, 29 touchdowns. It's Bo Nix Heisman season. It could be, and Portland State would be a great game for him to get big numbers in.
Hey, man, he's having fun. It's Bo Nix time. Like you said, it's his Heisman year. It very well could be. So, no, definitely a good pick there. Now, shifting over to running back, I'm going with the sophomore running back out of Ole Miss, Quinshon Judkins. He's got Mercer this weekend, and he had a dominant freshman season last year, and I just think he's going to pick up right where he left off and be one of the most dominant runners in the country. So that's why I'm choosing Judkins, and I feel like he's going to be running the ball pretty powerfully this week.
He will be staying in the SIP this week. Big game. Yeah. That's an excellent pick, actually. I kind of wish I had thought about him at first. A rule that I didn't mention in the intro was we have to have a true freshman each week to the team. I'm going to go on and redeem my true freshman token with Alabama running back Justice Haynes, because they're playing MTSU at home. He had 64 yards in the spring game, 3 touchdowns. Bama is not certain about their quarterback situation right now, and I really do think they could turn to the true freshman in week 1 to lead them on the ground and really get his confidence up. The more confidence he builds early, I think it'll pay off for the Tide later in the year.
Yeah, no, I love that pick. And, like you said, they're playing MTSU, so he might get some playing time, whether it's later in the first half or, definitely in the second half. I feel like even if he gets the start, try and get some confidence in him. I feel like, that's a great pick. I feel like, now going over to receiver, while we're on the topic of true freshmen, a lot of people might have thought with the first overall pick, I would have taken Caleb Williams. And I'm not going to lie, that was a thought, like I said. But instead, I'm going to go with the guy that he's throwing to in Zachariah Branch. He balled out last week, 2 receiving touchdowns. True freshman right there. I feel like he's going to be one of those true freshmen that, just kind of does it all this year. One of the fastest players in the country. So I gotta choose him while he's hot right now.
No, there goes one of my picks. Oh, man, I thought I had you. Oh, man. Hey, that's a great pick. Branch, dude, he's a total baller. Him and Caleb Williams, they're going to be something special this year for sure. My wide receiver 1, I should say, or my first wide receiver pick, I got to go hook him. I got to go Xavier Worthy. Facing off against Rice, Quinn Ewers is going to be throwing to him. At some point, if Texas goes up big, it will be Malik Murphy or possibly even Arch Manning throwing to him. But Murphy actually took a little dip in yardage from his freshman season to his sophomore season. And I think this year, with the addition of A.D. Mitchell, Isaiah Nayor, Jonte Cook, I really do think it will open up the field more. Worthy won't be covered as heavily, and I think him and Quinn Ewers show out against Rice.
Yeah, no, the depth is definitely there. Like you said, it'll take the pressure off him a little bit. But man, I hope Arch Manning gets out there and throws to him a little bit. For those Texas fans, that'll definitely be fun for that fan base.
Mm.
Now, now for the second receiver, I gotta go with the top receiver in the country, and I don't think it's very close to many people. I gotta go with Marvin Harrison Jr. Probably gonna be a top two or three, if not the first overall draft pick in the 24 NFL draft. And he's got Indiana. He's on the road at Indiana this weekend. So I feel like he's definitely gonna, have some fireworks going off in his season opener and just show, just continue to show people why he's the top receiver in the country to many people.
That's an excellent pick. I really do like Marvin Harrison Jr. in this game too. Even though I know Ohio State just did name their starter for this week, I think they're gonna get off to a hot start. Marvin Harrison Jr. and he's not gonna. When you have a Emeka Egbuka on the other side, you got, and then of course with all of Brian Hartline's 5 stars sitting around, he's gonna get his numbers.
Yeah, and I think it's worth mentioning that the quarterback they just announced as their starter, Kyle McCord, they played in high school together. They go way back. That chemistry, is pretty set in stone. So I feel like they're just gonna, kind of just keep that rhythm going that they had in high school. I mean, they won a ton of state championships at St. Joe's Prep. So I feel like, they're just gonna keep putting on in the bright lights that they were in high school and just keep it on going.
It's going to be just like old times for the two for sure. Now, for those who don't know, Tyler, he attends LSU. I'm picking one of your guys. I'm picking Malik Neighbors, who's facing off against Florida State. We saw Malik Neighbors with the drop on the punt return last year. Did he do it twice? Was it two fumbles or?
Man, I don't even know. From like an LSU student's perspective, it seemed like it happened every other game with
Okay.
that stuff. The special teams was just kind of the wheels were just off all year and really never found their way back on totally. So it definitely happened once or twice. I know Neighbors was one of them. I think Jack Besh might have been the other. I don't
Okay.
know. But yeah, it was definitely a shaky thing. But I mean, he could catch the ball for sure at the receiver slot. So that's definitely a good pick.
Oh yeah, definitely. He finished over 1,000 yards on the season, 3 touchdowns. He wants to avenge himself this game in Orlando, Florida, against the top 10 defense in Florida State. So I think Malik Neighbors could possibly show out.
Yeah. No, I like that pick, man, for sure. For sure. Now shifting over to the tight end slot. I mean, like I said earlier, Marvin Harrison Jr. is the top receiver, and it's not very close. The same kind of goes with the tight end. The top tight end is, the top, and it's pretty clear. I'm going with Brock Bowers out of Georgia. He's got Tennessee Martin. I think he'll be, right out the gates, just going strong, being another, top, target for Carson Beck, in his first start at Georgia. So I feel like Brock Bowers is definitely the way to go, and he's just been the most consistent tight end in the country.
So, for those who don't know, when Tyler and I set up this series, we said pick 2 people at each position because we're going to end up at some point stealing one another's pick. He's done it twice to me tonight, but I've come prepared. I'm taking Jaheim Bell on Florida State, the South Carolina transfer. 231 yards at South Carolina last season, 2 touchdowns. I kind of do expect to hear his name a little bit more than we would think come Sunday because he's going to take the attention off of John. Well, a lot of attention is going to be on Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman. So I do think Jaheim Bell could sneak into that secondary a little bit, surprise a few people. But Brock Bowers, you're right, top. He's the top in the country. He's a great pick, and they're playing UT Martin, so you can't go wrong picking the defending national champions, 2-time national champions. Excuse me.
Yeah. No, I like the Jaheim Bell pick though. It'll be interesting to see how he settles into that offense and everything, an offense that loves to throw the ball. So, I mean, no shade at that pick. Obviously, it's a very good pick. It's a very slept on pick.
All right, so now let's move over to the defensive side of the ball. We've been talking offense all day. Defensive side of the ball, Tyler. Let's edge rusher or defensive lineman. Who you got?
Yeah, so I'm going to keep the Seminole trend going. I'm going to pick Jared Verse coming off the edge. I mean, there's going to be a lot of eyes on that game, and I feel like Jared Verse is one of those players that many people are going to have their eyes on. In that game, he's one of the premier players coming off the edge, and I feel like if it's going to be anyone to stop that LSU offense from picking up some momentum heavy, it's going to be Verse. He's just a leader out there for the Seminoles, so I'm going with the leader on the defense rather, and yeah, I'm going with Jared Verse at my edge.
Well, I'm glad you picked Jared Verse and not my number one. I had Verse as my number two. Great pick. Yeah, his performance on Sunday night is going to be huge for the Noles. But I do have for my pick at defensive lineman. So he's kind of been moved around a little bit in his career. The school's website has him as a defensive lineman. This is why I'm picking him. Leatu Latu, UCLA. They're playing Coastal Carolina, 36 total tackles, 23 solo tackles, 3 forced fumbles. Coastal, in a weird way, could present an early challenge for the Bruins. It's at UCLA. I kind of expect Latu to be in the whole game, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I like that pick for sure. He's a projected first rounder in the 24 NFL draft. And he was actually my two. So we kind of did the same thing there. We were kind of, good minds think alike, I guess, on that one. So we coordinated that one perfectly. And yeah, no, I like that pick, man, for sure.
All right. Let's go to linebackers.
Yeah. So like Josh said, I go to LSU, but this pick was not motivated at all by my Tigers. I'm going with Harold Perkins. His sophomore season, he's wearing number 4 now, and all eyes are going to be on him when it comes to that LSU defense. He put on a clinic last year as a freshman. It seemed like every big hit LSU had, it was brought to you by Harold Perkins. So I'm going with the big hitter at the linebacker slot, and that's just Harold Perkins right there.
I knew you were going to pick Perkins, so I didn't even bother putting him on my list. I'm not even lying. And I'm still a little salty about that. LSU going into Texas and taking Perkins out of Texas. I was kind of upset
Yeah.
about that when that went down. But
I was honestly shocked about that when like what was it 2022 when it
mm,
all went down. I was like, wow, like it'll be quite the recruiting win if we go into Texas, especially him being part of that A&M class that was full of firepower. I thought it was going to be impossible to pull him away from that, but I was
mm.
proven wrong, and he's in Baton Rouge and he's doing his thing there.
I was scared y'all were about to take Colin Simmons out of Texas too. I would have been so upset over that.
Man, if LSU got both of those guys, that would have been crazy, but
Mm.
too good to be true. Too good to be true.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. He got to stay home though. Uh,
Yeah.
my linebacker, I'm going with Cedric Gray of North Carolina. Facing off against South Carolina this weekend. College game day will be there. 144 total tackles last year. Like, dude earned it. 2 interceptions. I have 3 forced fumbles. South Carolina is a tough opener. A very tough opener for the Tar Heels and Drake May and Mr. Gray. But I think he's going to be in the whole game. I think he'll get his stats this way. Get his stats early. He won't be taken out of the game unless something crazy goes down. But I think he'll be in most of the game, and I think we'll hear his name called a lot that day.
Yeah, North Carolina's secondary is always good. Their linebackers are always, very solid. So definitely a good pick there and Gray and very slept on pick. I didn't even really think of him. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I had to do a little bit of research on Mr. Gray. I was taking a peek around, and I was like, you know what? Let's see if Tyler's got this one.
Yeah, no, credit to you there, man. That was a good pick. Very good pick.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
moving on to cornerback. I like this pick a lot. And this is kind of like the pick I was kind of like, man, I'm taking kind of a gamble on this, but it's a good gamble. It's one that I really think can cash in. I'm going with Travis Hunter out of Colorado. He's suiting up with the Buffaloes for the first time this year. And a lot of people are going to be, watching that game, seeing if the hype is true, the hype at the Power Five level now that he's coming from Jackson State. They're going to be seeing like, hey, is this transition going to be legit, or was it all kind of for nothing? So I'm gambling a little bit with Travis Hunter. He's got TCU, tough matchup, and they're on the road to make things that much harder. But I like my odds with Travis Hunter, and I think he's going to get the job done.
I love that pick because I'm coming in with a guy on the other side of the ball or the other team in that game. I'm going with TCU cornerback Josh Newton. And so I think it's going to be really fun. I think this game is going to be more competitive than people think. I know they have TCU as like a 21-point favorite, but I just feel like Colorado's going to bring it. And I think Josh Newton's going to have to step up and play a lot of that game against Dion and against Travis Hunter.
Yeah, there's so many unknowns with Colorado. It's so hard to kind of like put them in any sort of favorite role. I feel like this whole season they're going to be kind of in that underdog slot, no matter who they're playing. So, but like I said, man, I'm willing to take a gamble on the Buffaloes, and I'm hoping it cashes in.
Well, I hope my gamble cashes in on my side so I can get that point as
Yeah.
well. This one's going to be fun because I feel like this is one of the few times we've picked teams facing each other.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. We're definitely gonna both be watching that game and all that stuff. So it's definitely gonna be an interesting one, and it's a good game too. So you can't really go wrong.
Oh yeah, it's nationally televised. It's right there for everyone. So
Yeah, there you go. Now, my final pick at the safety slot, I'm going with another true freshman who I'm taking another kind of gamble on. There a lot of buzz is around Justice Haynes when it comes to true freshmen coming out of Tuscaloosa, but I'm going with Caleb Downs. One of the best safeties coming out of the 23 class, and I feel like coming into he was on the Sean Alexander true freshman watch list for a very good reason. So I feel like he's going to come into Alabama and kind of pick up where Kool-Aid the tone he's kind of set with that Alabama defense, that Alabama secondary. I feel like Caleb Downs is going to be that guy who comes in as a true freshman and everybody's kind of like, yeah, this kid is going to be good. So I'm going with Caleb Downs here.
Caleb Downs is a excellent pick. I didn't even think about that too because I feel like they're going to get him a lot of playing time against MTSU this coming weekend, get a lot of like I was talking about earlier with Justice Haynes, like a lot of confidence early for the freshman. That's going to be crucial to the Tide this season. And Caleb Downs is a great pick for this week. I'm going to go with RJ Mickens of Clemson. They're facing off against Duke. I like Mickens a lot. I've always enjoyed watching Clemson's secondary. I know Venables is no longer there, obviously, but I always enjoyed watching a lot of Clemson defense, and I think Duke is another one of those weird first game challenges that a top team like Clemson could easily they could go down, like, it could go down in that game, and Mickens is going to have to step up. I think Mickens plays the whole game on defense.
Yeah, no, I like the risk there with that pick. Like you said, Duke is definitely a dark horse in the ACC. They got Riley Leonard at quarterback, who's in a little bit of the conversation for Heisman here. I've been seeing a little bit of buzz, but Duke overall is kind of just overall slept on. The whole basketball school narrative that they kind of carry. But no, I definitely like going in with that Clemson secondary pick. I mean, they're a very good secondary, like you said, year in year out, no matter who's the defensive coordinator there. But yeah, I mean, I like that pick for sure.
It ain't all about Drake May in North Carolina, I'll tell you that. So
No, it's not. Yes, sir.
so that's it. The picks are in. Now that the picks are in, good luck to you and your team, Tyler. It was a blast
well,
this
my
week.
friend.
I can't wait. I can't wait to recap our teams next week, draft our new teams for the week, and keep it going.
Yeah, I hope for both of us this ages really well and not like milk. So
Mm,
we'll be keeping some close eyes on it, and hopefully we made some right calls.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's gonna be a fun weekend.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun series. This is gonna be every week. So keep tuning in everything. See us make our picks every week, see our intake, and yeah, we're here to stay with this one.
This is gonna be a fun one, y'all. Stay tuned.
Yes, sir.